And welcome into Half the Distance Live, your weekly barroom commentary podcast. I am Matty Fax, as always, joined by Sconathan Staten, a.k.a. Scotty Stats, Brian the Professor, and our producer, Pepe Le Produce, the great skunk hunter, slightly off of camera. We're here to bring you our thoughts on this week's football games.
Most of this week's.
And also to make some predictions on next week's scores. For those of you that don't know, we are brought to you by our continued and forever utter hatred for one Joseph Buck. He is just the worst. Fuck him. There's been a lot of fun, really good games this week. We're going to go ahead and start with the Thursday night game. We are not starting with that. I am sorry. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see plain what we're doing. For those that are listening, we pick these games every week, and whoever has the worst record from the previous week's picks has to use a koozie of their least favorite team. Scott is a Giants fan, hates the Patriots. I'm a Bears fan, I hate the Packers. The Professor here is a Broncos fan, hates the Cowboys, and he had the worst week for picks this week, so he gets to don.
Only because I felt to pick for my brethren, and I picked the Giants to beat the Seahawks.
No, I picked the Giants too.
I know. But if I would have picked...
I still made better picks than you, though, so...
By one.
Hey,
that was my one loose cannon pick, and it's fucking costing
Regardless, he now gets to put a Dallas Cowboys koozie on, which is pretty cool, because in about 15 minutes, they're going to be kicking off against 49ers. Gotta love it. All right, so Thursday night.
No. Get that out of there, Brian.
Oh, no, you're not allowed to do that.
He's already wearing a Bronco. Oh,
yeah, that's exactly how they finished the game.
Grogu go down.
Yes. Thursday night, my beloved Chicago Bears, carrying a heavy heart from the passing of Dick Butkus, went to Washington and gave the commies a fucking beatdown.
It was a drubbing.
It was, I mean, if you look, I'll just go through the stats, we'll talk about it. Bears won 40-20. Justin Fields had 282 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, another 57 yards rushing. Khalil Herbert led the running backs with 76 yards rushing. DJ Moore went completely nuclear. 8 catches, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. For the Commies, Sam Howell ended with 388 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. He was also the leading rusher with 19 yards. The passing yards, a bit inflated. Number 1, our defense, not so good. Number 2, they could not run the ball in the second half because we were so far ahead. Yep. For the Commanders, they had the ball got distributed all across the board. I think it was like 11 or 12 people caught passes. Logan Thomas was their leading receiver with 9 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown.
McLaurin had a decent game.
Who?
McLaurin.
McLaurin did.
Decent.
Not great, but decent. For the Bears, a few things worked in their favor in this. They got Tevin Jenkins back from injury, really helped to shore up the left side of the line. Also, their defensive line, who had 2 sacks for the season coming into the game, had 5 sacks of Sam Howell in this game. All this really tells me, because of how bad our pass rush has been, is how bad the offensive line for the Commies is.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Hal woke up from his last concussion, thought he played for fucking Cleveland.
Yes. I did hear a few talking heads this week talking about how, good game for Justin Fields, but it was more about a DJ Moore breakout. And they're like, listen, most of these yards were after the catch. It's like, and I guess you could say that. He only completed 52% of his passes, but there's not much you can do when your receiver catches the ball and runs downfield into the end zone. It's not your fault that the guy made an amazing play and you are now giving the ball back to the other team.
Yep.
I can understand them trying to qualify that and say, all right, because they've been beating up on Fields, here's how terrible he is. They should focus more time into how much time he has to throw the ball. And if you want to look at his completion rate versus the time he had to throw, obviously that's better with most, but at the same time, like, you want to look at those incompletions. He was still getting rushed plenty. Mm-hmm. It looked a lot better. He was definitely given more time than he has seen for most of this season and last season. But still, to me, we saw what he can do. He had some really good accurate passes. He also had some passes to his wide receiver too that were dropped.
Yes,
they were pretty balls.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that has impressed me, at least in the last 2 weeks, and we'll see if it continues moving forward. the thing that everyone's talked about is how he has been unable to throw the receiver open, as they say in the NFL. You have to, there's small windows. You have to go for it. He has been doing that more consistently these past 2 weeks. Admittedly, not against the best defenses. We're going to have to see how it goes moving forward. But confidence is
reps in
important.
somewhere.
Yes.
Exactly.
Confidence
Yeah.
is key, and actually getting the reps in and more experience on the field. We'll see how it goes.
Also, just real quick, not to shit on the Bears, that's their first win in 15 games.
Yep.
Good for them.
Off to Schneid.
Like what? A good 3 weeks, almost shy of a year. So,
Yes,
you know.
but I am going to raise a glass of whiskey here to Dick Butkus, one of the greatest defenders to ever play in the NFL. Very melancholy win because of this. It was a sad one. Hate to see him go, but
to 51.
to 51.
He died twice that day for me.
Coming into this morning in
Dead.
jolly London, the Jags.
Okay,
The
wait.
Tottenham Jags?
Did you hear what he said?
No.
I'm
He
sorry.
thought he was
I already
already
thought he
dead.
was dead, so he died twice that day for me.
For those of you that don't know, the great Skunk Hunter does not know much about football, apparently.
I thought you were dead. I buried you.
Slowed my heart rate so he could barely be perceptive.
I mean,
Anyway,
that would be the most Butkus thing to come back from the dead, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Great.
that's a true. That is a true monster of
For
Midway.
Undertaker.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so this morning, the Jags,
The Tottenham
for their,
Jags.
for their second week in a row playing in London, now being the visiting team, took on the Bills in London. Did I get that right?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. This game, London finally got to see a really good game. Like, usually these are really boring ass whoopings. Jags 25, Bills 20. Trevor Lawrence, 315 yards passing and a touchdown. Etienne, 136 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Calvin Ridley, 7 catches, 122 yards. Josh Allen, 359 yards and a touchdown and a rushing touchdown. I'm sorry, 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. He was actually the leading rusher for the team with 14 yards.
That's a problem.
3 running backs combined for 15 yards. Diggs had 8 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown. They cannot run the ball
No.
to save their lives right now.
Well, they're missing both of their corners, so their defense was just wide fucking open.
And their best linebacker got an injury.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
left the
Milano,
game.
very unfortunately, likely leg fracture and knee injury, presumed to be out for the season.
Yeah.
And
The best thing, though, is you are in Europe, so your health care is going to be cheap.
no, but also like Matt,
Very affordable over there.
not to make light of that injury, and like Milano doesn't get talked about a lot, but he is a really fucking good linebacker.
He's an excellent linebacker.
Yeah.
Any starting line, you don't want to fucking lose in a game,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
But for the Bills, the inability to run the ball, they lost Tre'Davious White last week, who was their best corner. They lose Milano this week, who was their best linebacker. These are injuries that are going to be very hard to overcome for the rest of the season. And by the way, I know you beat the Dolphins last week. It's going to be a lot harder to do it next time, minus those 2.
Very true.
Well, next week they'll be fine. They play the Giants, so, you know.
But here we are. Here we are talking more about the Bills and maybe
we should talk
why
about
they
the Jags.
lost. And the reality is the Jags.
2
granted,
straight?
They had
Yeah.
they stayed in England, so you want to
Smart
talk
move.
time change all 100%. But this is a huge win for them. A
Yeah.
huge win. You can come up with all the excuses about how they did it, but they did.
Yeah.
Right. The reality is they beat the team that everyone was saying is one
Especially
step down
after
from
last
San
week.
Francisco.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah, after the Jags
good
had a
on
rough
them.
week last week. And by the way, offensively, they did everything they wanted to today. They ran the ball extraordinarily efficiently. They threw the ball
Lawrence
very
had 300
efficiently.
something yards, yeah.
So Josh Allen threw for some yards and Diggs caught some balls. You still won. And those guys are going to get yardage
Yep.
regardless.
Right.
So, big win for the Jags.
Yeah.
Especially in an AFC South that if they just keep playing like
Yeah.
this, they
They
will
can take
win
the division, yeah.
easily to me. Speaking of which, 2 other AFC South teams met today. The Titans traveled to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. They lost 23-16. Tannehill with 264 yards passing and an interception. DeAndre Hopkins finally had a good game for them. 8 catches, 140 yards. Derrick Henry did not have a good game for them.
Yep.
Only 43 yards rushing. It was kind of an inverse of what the normally is for these teams because the Titans are usually very good at stopping the run. Not so much today. They gave over 200 yards rushing to the Colts today. And that's with Anthony Richardson getting hurt and Gardner Minshew having to
Yeah,
come into play.
yeah.
And Minshew played well. Only 155 yards passing, but didn't do anything to cost his team the game.
Yeah, they have like a 2 or 3 incompletions, no INTs.
And
you know?
because Jonathan Taylor is back, I was like, hey, I've got him on my fantasy bench. I got Zach Moss in there, but you know what? I got to swap that out because it's Jonathan Taylor, right?
Yeah.
Not so much. Zach Moss, 165 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And, I mean, Taylor had over 40 yards rushing. He looked pretty good in his comeback. I lost that fantasy game, just so you know. Not that it really matters. But the Colts, they keep finding ways to win. Steichen is such a good coach, I think. This team, they may not end up with a winning record for the season, but moving forward, especially Jonathan Taylor signing that contract extension this week,
Finally,
gets all that drama out of the way. 3 years, $42 million.
It's the paycheck I think is still a little bit light for where in my mind running back should be, getting $14.5 million. I think that the guaranteed payout, he's in like the 8-something million for guaranteed payout each year. Per year. Now we're talking, right? Because you're already picking up some of these guys that are top tier for 11.
Yeah.
Right? So getting that guaranteed in there into a good space, that's a good sacrifice for a lot of these guys because you're out there, taking beatings.
Yeah.
Taking beatings. And I'm not saying that, like, the Giants were going to be significantly better at any of these weeks without Saquon Barkley. But he's been the lifeblood of their
I think they would have been
team,
significantly better.
right? The Colts, without Jonathan Taylor, have been doing a really great job.
Yeah.
Zach Moss has stepped up in a big way. Is he the next Jonathan Taylor? Could be. I'm not gonna go there, but he's looked really good and he's been able to fill out the position that was built for Jonathan Taylor, right?
Yeah.
So that's good coaching towards that position, and he was capable of doing that. We're designing around these guys, right? That's the whole thing.
And then not
pay
paying
them,
them.
and then pay them. So this is I think a really good step forward. He held his ground when it seemed like the Colts didn't really need him, and he's getting paid. He's getting that guaranteed money, and I like it.
I do too.
I am a little worried about what they're going to do next week with Richardson because they're already saying that it's the same kind of sprain that Derek Carr just had. So if he's out one game and then also maybe not back to perfection the week after, but the AC joint sprain,
Well,
kind of
but
thing.
unlike Carr, also he likes to run the ball, so he's going to be open to take a lot more shots. So they need to be a little more careful with him coming back, I think. And by the way, in Gardner Minshew, they have one of the best backups in the league,
True.
in my opinion, anyway. So I think let him rest. He's a rookie. Let him heal.
Yeah. Like really heal.
Yes, Minshew can go out there, do quite a bit of good for you. I think the Colts are headed in a good direction. I don't know how to put this because the Patriots were so good for so long, but the Saints went to New England and they wrecked shop 34-0 on the Patriots. I'm just going to do this. I guess go back to the early 80s. You're like oh no, we suck again for the Patriots. But David Carr, 183 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, 80 yards rushing, a touchdown. Chris Olave finally got his first touchdown this season. For the Pats, this was ugly. Mac Jones, 110 yards, 2 interceptions. Ramondre Stevenson, just 24 yards rushing. This was an ugly.
Zeke who?
Yeah. Well, part of the overall defeat here it's not all on Mac Jones. Don't get me wrong here.
Nah.
But every time I see these games from Mac Jones, I'm just wondering how much damage was done to his development having a defensive coordinator and a special teams coordinator as co-offensive coordinators for him last season.
Yeah.
I know Bill Belichick thought he was an evil genius with that.
Yeah.
I'm very worried that they did a serious amount of damage to his development, though.
And he was he might have been touched or pressured on paper, but he was fucking running around nearly every fucking snap of that game.
Yeah.
And you can't be doing that to him. You just
No.
can't, you know?
When you go from Alabama to a rebuilding,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago, when he stepped into the role,
He had a lot more protection.
Yep. Yeah, and we're like, hey, look at him go. He was, he looked kind of solid. Like, this is exactly what you need from your rookie quarterback. You know, and then last year it was getting a little iffy, and Bailey Zappi came in. We're like, you might want to keep this kid. He's 3 games he was looking solid, and now here he is benched 2 games back to back.
look at it like this. At one point, he was deemed better than Cam Newton, and they put him back in.
Yeah, but that's easy to say.
I know.
Cam Newton at the end of his
I was gonna say,
career.
I know, but you just think of MVP Cam Newton and just that downward trajectory.
It was not MVP Cam Newton playing for the Pats.
No,
Yeah.
no.
No. But
All right.
Yeah.
It's possible Cam Newton playing for the Jets.
But again, I don't want to overshadow the team that did win by
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for the Pats, I don't see them digging themselves out of this. It's going to be a long year for them. For the Saints,
They'll never
it's
financially
kind of
recover
like
from
last year. I don't know which team is going to show up every week.
They're so wild because
Sorry, our producer might be choking on beer over here.
a little Tiger King reference got him. So. They can be so fun to watch. I mean, Michael Thomas has been so great to
A
watch this year.
resurgent year for him.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
great.
he spent so long being
He
injured,
was so good before all these injuries. Just
and actually, like a lot of the catches he made today were really impressive.
yes.
But even today, like he had like what I think like 7 for like 90 yards.
Yeah.
And he was far and away their lead receiver.
But
because they
4
could
for
spread it
65,
around. Was
but
it
they were
4?
spreading it
Okay.
all
Yeah.
around.
right,
Yeah.
right. But also, like, the catches that he made were really, really impressive. And then you have a 6'2" undersized tight end who also can be a running back and a wide receiver and a quarterback.
Yep.
And when they work him into the play in those unique ways, I think it's a fun game changer that it's hard to. How do you plan for that? You know, so. I don't think they have a good identity. The Saints, they haven't had one in a while, but yeah.
For those of you that are,
They still don't have one.
For those of you that are listening to this podcast later on in the week, we are doing this live on YouTube. We do it every Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We have a chat room open. For those of you who know, we will interact with some of the chats. We do have a person right now who is asking that we don't trash the Patriots as they're his team.
College buddy.
College buddy of our producer. I'm not trashing. I'm not trying to be mean to the team, but this is a team that is.
They're doing it themselves.
And they were awful today. In every aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Matthew Judon was out.
Yes, losing him was
that's
big.
That's big.
That's a big pass rush aspect.
But that's still only one.
It doesn't solve the offensive issues.
No.
Ramondre, like the Saints have a good defense, not a we will shut you
No.
out defense.
Well,
Yeah.
if you're playing the Patriots.
Apparently.
Low blow. But yeah, I don't know where the Pats go from here. They're going to have to try to build this up. I mean, it's the same for any team. My Bears have the same issues a lot of the time. We just happen to have a very good wide receiver and a quarterback who might be blossoming. We'll see. I don't know yet. Regardless, moving on to the next game. In a pure, historic AFC North tradition, the Ravens went into Pittsburgh and played the Steelers to a 10-17 defensive showdown. Pretty
Yeah,
much, it was It's not. If you are just a kind of fan of football, it's not a game you're going to find fascinating. But I love watching these games where these guys play so hard. Lamar Jackson, 236 yards passing. Gus Edwards, 48 yards rushing. Zay Flowers, 5 catches for 73. Not a whole lot going on for them. Mm-hmm. For the Steelers, Pickett finally had a meh game, I guess I'll call it.
He looked like how we thought he was going to
Like
look.
a middle-of-the-road quarterback.
Yeah.
224 yards passing and a touchdown. Jalen Warren paced them for rushing with 40. Their offensive line can't block to run the ball to save their lives. But Pickens, in his second year, with Deontay Johnson out, is having a bit of a coming out party
Yeah,
like here.
yeah.
6 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown.
And a couple of those were fucking pretty.
Yep.
Oh, man.
And the Steelers' defense, the special teams, blocked punts, sacks, like they were playing like the Steelers you would expect to see in these games.
Like when you think of the Steelers.
Yes.
As a franchise.
Yes.
That's the kind of game you think
I
of.
expect
Yeah.
a low-scoring, tough-nosed, hard-earned victory.
Yep.
Again, for the casual fan, it might be considered a boring game. But if you really love watching football, these games I find so fun. I think Kenny Pickett might... If he could just be middle of the road, this offense will be so much better than it has been.
Yeah.
And this is without Deontay Johnson. This is with Freiermuth hurt.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on that are kind of hindering this offense at the same time, not just their very poor offensive line. I don't know, am I completely wrong here? Do you guys think that the Steelers might be because the Ravens were supposed to come in with this high-flying offense that we have not seen anything from. So
Lamar's
far.
all full healthy again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not running.
Yeah.
So
Which I'm sure is killing him.
I mean, he's running a little bit, just not to the effectiveness that he has.
It's not the first instinct anymore.
I was going to say, not
Yeah,
the
as it should
MVP
be.
season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, granted, today there was some problems. They had a touchdown pass dropped in the end zone, stripped from behind on tackles. Like there's a lot of things that the Steelers did right.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of things the Ravens did wrong. But in the end, the Steelers made the plays they needed to win the game. So
It makes me wonder if we're not getting a full mesh of what Bieniemy's bringing to the table on the offensive side.
it's not the enemy. He's with the Commies.
Oh, geez, never mind.
It's he was with Georgia for their last couple championships.
Sorry, you're right.
But it's the same thing. It's supposed to be a more wide open offense, a lot more 4 wide
Yeah.
receiver sets.
Yeah.
It has not worked for them thus far. We'll see. You never know. Sometimes putting in a new offense, all these things, it can take time.
Also, late in the season, Pittsburgh in Baltimore, I'm sure it's going to be pretty interesting to watch as well.
Absolutely, it always is.
Yeah.
Always. The Texans traveled to Atlanta.
Oof.
Absolutely last second field goal
Good
to
game,
take
though.
the Falcons over the Texans. Falcons won 21-19. Desmond Ridder still undefeated at home in college and the
Yeah,
pros.
yeah.
I don't know how he has pulled that off.
and high school.
Yeah.
My God.
It goes back to I don't know if it was all varsity but it was his undefeated at home streak goes back to high school.
Wow.
Which is going to crack eventually, but, you know.
I thought it was going to crack today. The way Texans have been playing,
Yeah.
and the way the Falcons have been playing, which is they've been. We've talked about them being deceptive about like every once in a while they got these sneaky things going on and they do really well, and then they just fall apart in epic fashion,
Yeah.
right? And where the Texans were just this constant good play, surprising to us all.
Yeah.
Stroud is just looking
Stroud's
so
still doing
great,
fucking
right?
great. Yeah.
Stroud has yet to throw an interception. It is the most amount of
yeah.
pass attempts as a rookie to start a career without an interception in NFL history thus
He
far.
just passed Dak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dak had the record.
Yeah, Stroud today had 249 yards passing and a touchdown. Pierce for the Texans, 66 yards rushing. Dalton Schultz was the leading receiver, 7 catches, 65 yards and a touchdown. For the Falcons, though, Ridder, 329 and a
Yeah, had
touchdown.
a great fucking game.
Bijan Robinson, 46 yards rushing, but he had a beautiful catch it with my hand and hip for a touchdown into the goal line.
I think he wiped it off on his ass towel.
Right.
Make sure it was nice and clean before he handed
Sponsored
it
by
off.
Charmin.
No touchdowns, but I think more impressive to me, Pitts, 7 catches for 87 yards. Drake London,
yeah.
6 catches for 78 yards. You're finally going to throw the ball to these top 10 picks you made.
You get him involved. Look what fucking happens.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you throw to the most talented players on your team.
And again, the Texans aren't a great defensive team or offensive, but like they did a good job of picking the right targets all day long.
I agree. And the head coach for the Falcons, he was the offensive coordinator for the Titans. I still say I think there's a little bit of that Mike Vrabel, have your team ready to play every week in that team. But they're also, you can't trust them to actually throw the ball this much. They want to run the ball. That's why they have Bijan. That's why they have Algier. They like to run the ball a lot. But, hey, great win for them. Carolina went into the Detroit and got smacked down. Detroit, without Amon-Ra St. Brown, without Jahmyr Gibbs,
Didn't need him.
Didn't matter.
Didn't need him.
They're not using Jahmyr Gibbs anyways.
David Montgomery, 109 yards and a touchdown. Goff, 236 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Reynolds paced it for the wide receivers with 4 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown. Laporta, great-looking tight end, rookie.
Yeah.
3 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. The Panthers did a lot of garbage time. Young ended up with 247, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Hubbard was their leading rusher with 35. They can't run the ball. And old man Adam Thielen, 11 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Granted, touchdown came in garbage time. There was no chance for them to come back. But overall,
5. 0-5.
Yeah.
0-5.
that's looking like a great first-round pick for the Bears to have in their pocket. I appreciate that from them. But
like the end of last season, they looked so much stronger.
Agreed.
So much stronger.
Agreed.
Like once they dumped all their talent, they improved. What the fuck? And then
But-
just
and it's not like they've
Grab
gotten
the
rid of
shit
their
this
defensive
year.
talent. They still have
they
those
still
guys.
that, yeah.
Also, not sure I was listening to, but it was clearly someone commentating and it was like, if you're Detroit and you're for real, you're just going to whip their ass and move on to next week. And
that's what they did.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Cowboys just trying to tear McCaffrey's head off using face mask technique. That's interesting.
Face mask technique.
You know what? They're pretty. Like he hasn't had a neck injury yet in his career. Let's add that to the list.
Okay, so I do want to go back to the Panthers real quick. So I know they're 0-5 and they're garbage, but they might become my new favorite team.
Oh,
Because if the Dolphins can put up 70 against the Broncos, what do you think they do to the Panthers next week?
Oh my goodness, I didn't even talk about that.
100-point NFL game. Come on.
That would be a first.
I know. That's why I'm going to do it.
Speaking of the Dolphins, the Giants traveled to Miami today. They lost 16-31. Daniel Jones got knocked out of this game with a neck injury. Finished with 119 yards passing.
That would have been the 5th or the 6th sack.
Yes,
It was
a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah.
I will be talking about at least one of their offensive linemen later when we get to just the worst.
No.
Gray, one of their running backs, led them with rushing for 25 yards. Waller finally had a semi-decent game for them, 8 catches for 86 yards. But it didn't really matter. Let me run this down real fast. Tua, 308 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Devon Achane, apparently it's Achane, not A-Chain.
Yep.
This has come out this past week.
And it's Devon.
Yes.
Devon Achane.
Achane. 151 yards rushing and a touchdown. Mostert also had 65 yards rushing and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 8 catches, 181 yards and a touchdown. Waddle, 5 catches, 35 yards and a touchdown. This is not
Such a
against the
fucking
Giants here.
spread.
I just wanted to bring this up because
Jesus.
Achane, thus far this season, has 9 catches for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns and 38 rushes for 460 yards and 5 touchdowns.
38 rushes.
There have been 7 plays this season where a player managed to hit over 22 miles an hour running to go score. They've all been Dolphins.
Tyreek Hill was talking about how fast HN is in a little sideline interview thing, and or practice interview, and
I call him like Lil Cheetah or something.
and he's like, he's fast. No, he's not the second fastest on the team. He's like, we got a kid on our practice squad, a white boy in the practice squad, and he said, I don't want to race him.
Really?
Wow.
Right? Think about that. We thought that Waddle was fast. Waddle is what now, 4th
And
fastest on the
it is,
team,
but by comparison,
right? Oh my God.
Come on, Grandpa Waddle. You know, you only run at 21 miles an hour at top
Good lane.
speed.
It's just further proof that in the NFL, speed kills. It truly does.
Are we talking about the Raiders again?
Yeah.
Too soon?
Gotta love a great vehicular manslaughter joke.
Oh, what a dick, man.
Listen, I'm not going to harp too much on the Giants here. I'll talk about one of their offensive linemen later. To me, it's more the Dolphins. Yes, they lost last week to the Bills. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. They got beat pretty good last week. A little too much thinking too highly of themselves, maybe. Came right back this week, ready to play. Just an impressive team, really is. And yes, they were pressuring the quarterback.
Jesus.
Jones had no time.
Nope.
No time. So, is he worth $160 million over 4 years? I don't know, because his offensive line is not giving him a chance to
Wait,
do
who?
anything.
Who?
Daniel
Jones. Yep. All right.
But we don't know, because, like, he gets fucking hit all the time.
I know.
I don't think he's worth it. But he's not having the chance to prove it.
I don't think
you
he's a
know?
$40 million quarterback.
No.
But I think he
I don't think
deserves.
he's as bad as he's looked.
I think he's still a QB1.
Did you guys see the meme where there was like a deadbolt and the lock was a Cheeto?
A
And
Cheeto.
it was like the Giants.
Giants
O-line.
O-line,
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Last year it was the Bears O-line.
Yes. Yeah, no shit. Thanks for that. The Bengals went to Arizona to take on a feisty Cardinals team. And this has been a surprisingly bad Bengals team. But pulled out the win, 34-20. Joe Burrow finally had a good game this year. 317 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Joe Mixon, 81 yards rushing. Jamar Chase, 15 catches, 192 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Oh, you mean they should be throwing it to Chase?
They should.
Oh, and
A
they
lot
should be
more.
using Mixon to set up those plays also.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Imagine
Mixon
that.
got shut down a lot in that game. I was really surprised though. Like
Short yardage, yeah.
Yeah, like he's not like the beast he was just a couple years ago. I don't get it.
And George Kittle with a touchdown for the 49ers to get on the board. Cardinals, Dobbs had his first and second interceptions of the season today.
Yeah.
Had 166 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Not good when Rondale Moore, wide receiver, is your leading rusher with 50 yards. But Connor got hurt in this game, so that kind of sucked. And Hollywood Brown, 4 for 61 and a touchdown. The Cardinals are not a great team. They play with a lot of fire. Their coach has them prepared. But this Bengals team, it must have been like that. I am tired of getting embarrassed on national
They
TV.
finally woke up. Yep.
I will say their offensive line, I still think, has massive issues. I mean, they're paying, over the next 4 years, $128 million to a bunch of guys who've given up 11 sacks already this season and not been blocking well for the run. Every year, they get someone else. Like this past offseason, they signed Orlando Brown, stud left tackle, to a 4-year, $64 million contract. Every year, they're signing someone else, bringing people in, trying to fix this offensive line. They couldn't get a 2-yard rushing touchdown today against the Cardinals. Cardinals, if you look at their defense on paper, they don't have anyone that's that stout to stop the run.
Certainly no Pro Bowlers. Yeah.
No. So, great game by the Bengals. I appreciate what they did. I still think their offensive line is a work in progress. Listen, the Cards, no one thought they were going to do anything this year. So, the fact that they play with this much fight,
I picked them to win the game.
Yep.
I picked them to keep playing up and the Bengals to play down, and I was wrong on that, but I don't regret that choice. You know, if the Cardinals are gonna play tough they shouldn't have scored 20 points on the Bengals at the start of the season. If you ask me, there's no way they're going to get 20 hard fought points. No way.
And they weren't garbage time points. Like, that was a close game.
Yes, right.
Especially when you told me that about 3 weeks before the beginning of the season, they were going to cut Colt McCoy, who had been their starter all offseason, and bring in a guy from another team to be their starter. I would never have thought they would be playing as hard as they are.
No, I thought they were tanking, and so I don't regret that choice. You know, I like making some of these picks, you know, with my heart, anyways.
Well, no,
but good.
We're not betting money. I am here trying to have fun with this.
Yeah, right.
7 weeks ago, we talked for 10 minutes about how they were tanking.
Yeah.
Right.
So
we did all pick Arizona to beat Cincinnati.
yeah, we did, and we were wrong. Next up, the Eagles took their brotherly shove into Los Angeles to take on the Rams. And they won the brotherly shove.
Oh, do you mean the cheek sneak, the bum rush, the tail propel, the seat shove, the rump ram, the bullocks booster, the backside bum rush, the fanny rammy? Or do you mean the rear steer, the posterior propellant, the bottom boost,
That's the best one.
the BBC, you know, behind butt charge, the fat bottom force, the cushion pushing, the thunder buddies, the bulldoze
Yes!
the booty scooty, the haunches launches, the broken caboose, the stacked up shove? Or do you mean the hams ram, the two-handed breach, the Dario duo, the keister and creaser, the brown train, or the straight bangle bunghole?
No, I mean the play that they're talking about the NFL making illegal because they're too good at it.
Oh, so we should stop coming with nicknames for it.
No, not at all. We're going to keep doing it. In the end, though, Jalen Hurts, 303 yards passing, a touchdown, 72 yards rushing, a touchdown. Swift paced the running backs with 70 yards rushing. A.J. Brown, 6 catches, 127 yards. Not to overshadow Dallas Goedert, who also had over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown.
Finally, yeah.
For the Rams, the big question was, can Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua coexist? Yes. They need the rest of the team to do some shit, but yes, they can coexist. Stafford, 222 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams had an off game, only 53 yards rushing, but that defensive line for the Eagles is really good. For those wide receivers, though, Kupp.
I think that's where they fucked up, though. Like, yeah, the Eagles' D-line is fucking gonna stuff them.
Still have to
You
run.
gotta make it a fucking threat.
Yep.
And that makes Cooper's fucking game better. You know, makes Nakua's game better. Like, you have to keep trying, you know?
Well, speaking of Cooper and Nacua, Kupp had 8 catches, 118 yards in his first game back this season. That's
good for him.
Solid.
Especially coming back, yeah.
Nacua, with Kupp getting that many targets, 7 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. This is... I picked the Eagles to win this game. The Rams are a lot saltier than I thought they would be this year. Like, I thought this was another one of those years where you're going to be paying for that credit card debt you put down for the Super Bowl.
Yep.
They're not playing that way this year. They are playing expecting to win games. And
they have that credit card bill, and they're like, you know what? I think
let's refinance that
early
shit.
2024, we might be able to take a vacation. We're paying that debt down, you know?
So, yeah, I think the Rams, I predicted them to not do anything this year. They're playing way better than I thought they would.
I thought they'd play this well, but I'm also a big Stafford fan. Like, I just believe in that guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you come out of Detroit, and you can still fucking play football. You got some living left to do.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. I
So
agree.
here's a fun little one. Scott, I shared this with Brian earlier, and I just wanted to bring it up again. Puka Nacua coming into this week is currently outpacing the 2 best receiving yard seasons in NFL history through 4 games.
History.
History. He had 501 receiving yards coming into this week. Previous to that, Cooper Kupp, who had the last time broke the record, 431 yards receiving through 4 games. Previous to that was Calvin Johnson in 2012 with 423 yards receiving. Can you tell me what those 3 guys have in common? Other than the fact that they were on pace to do this.
It's right in front of you. It's right in front of you.
If you think about it too hard, you're not going to get it.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Their quarterback.
Matt Stafford.
Oh God.
Yeah. Right? It's fucking too obvious. I didn't
He
get
couldn't
it
get it
either.
either.
I was like, God damn it. Oh, of course it's fucking Stafford.
Right,
you know?
of course, yeah.
So yeah, Stafford really knows how to throw the ball, hyper target people, and make sure it's working. But you know what? If he actually has 2 guys that can do this, now,
Yeah.
that I don't know if he's ever had a team where he had 2 OBJ for a while when the Rams won the Super Bowl. Then he got injured. That's
that-
about the only time I can think of.
Yeah.
Because OBJ wasn't even around for all of that season with the Rams. He came in, I think, mid-season and got signed.
And he
later
wasn't
than
prime
midseason.
OBJ either.
It was
No.
later, it was later than midseason. It was a lot closer to the playoffs.
Yep. So I think it'd be interesting moving forward, seeing how he does having 2 really good young wide receiver, or well, not young, 1 good young wide receiver and Cooper Kupp.
I mean, and he had Tutu Atwell, opposite Nakua. That was solid,
Yeah,
right?
Did okay with him.
But did okay with him. This is a totally different
Having
dynamic.
Tutu Atwell as a 3rd wide receiver,
Yeah,
sounds
right.
like a really good problem to have.
Yeah, that's a Dolphin luxury right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Dolphins, oddly enough, trading for Chase Claypool from the Bears. Like, I'm still not sure why, but Josh McDaniel being like, we traded for him? Well, we weren't looking for wide receiver help. Like, you just got to love the...
Yeah,
I think that's just McDaniel
sarcasm
fucking with the NFL.
yeah. He's
like, yeah, sure, we'll take another receiver.
he's trying to get Rodney Chosen to be a little bit more hungry in practice.
That's great. I hadn't even thought about that. All right, next game. The professor's not going to enjoy this conversation, but the Jets traveled to Denver, to the Mile High City,
Turn Matt's volume down.
and they won 31-21.
I'm
This is
okay
a-
with the loss.
This is the battle of the Wilsons at quarterback. Zach Wilson, 199 yards passing and an interception. Russell Wilson, 196 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Brees Hall, though, 177 yards rushing and a touchdown. Tyler Conklin was the leading receiver for the Jets at 4 catches for 67. The leading receiver for the Broncos
Was Sauce Gardner?
was no, but that's funny. Was Samaje Perine.
Fucking really?
4 catches for 73 yards. McLaughlin was the leading
Jesus.
rusher with 68 yards. If you didn't watch this game, the Broncos did have the ball in the last 2 minutes. Were going downfield to try to tie it up. Russell Wilson scrambled, had the ball knocked out of his hands. It was plucked up by, I believe, a safety or a backup corner for the Jets, who returned it for a touchdown, and that ended this game.
Heartbreaking.
I still don't think Zach Wilson is good. I thought he played very well last Sunday night.
Yeah.
He played very meh this week. And the other problem is the Broncos have started trading parts.
Yep.
They traded Randy Gregory to the 49ers
Yep.
this week. Apparently there's a few people that are being looked into to be traded.
Yep.
Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton.
But it's okay. They have till October 30th, I think, to finalize all trade deals.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
they fucking will do.
Yeah, I think they're going to look at anyone on their defense and say, yeah, go ahead and take them.
Yep.
On the offensive side,
Oh,
do you really
offensively,
want to?
they're already fucking shopping out Cortland Sutton and
Yeah,
Jerry
yeah, no, I know
Jeudy.
they're talking about it. It's like, okay,
And the Bills are interested in Sertan, so,
what a move! If the Bills got
need
Surtain,
corners.
That's to me that would
I
have
mean, that's
to,
a smart fucking move for the Bills.
to me that's at least a first round pick and a second round pick to get him.
I mean, like Eric was saying earlier, we talked about the Cards tanking on purpose. Fucking Broncos are doing it fucking live.
no, yeah,
you know?
they're running a yard
a
sale.
goddamn auction, you
That's
know?
what it sounds like. Oh my God, Surtain to the Bills. That would
But-
be huge.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to overlook what the Jets did here. They went into Denver. It's not the greatest Denver team, but they pulled the victory out.
The Jets, but yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
The Bills would have done way
the
worse.
Bills. That's what we're talking- Yeah.
That's not gonna happen until November. All right.
So yeah, Zach Wilson is never going to be thought of as a great quarterback, but he did enough not to did not screw up enough to cost his team the win today.
You know what will turn around the Broncos season? If Zach Wilson fucks Russell Wilson's mom tonight.
Yay!
Or his wife.
That might get him
Also,
motivated.
statistically, Zach Wilson was a better quarterback than Pat Mahomes last weekend. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Who won that game?
I know.
All right. Speaking of Pat Mahomes, he went into Minnesota today. KC pulled out the win, 27-20.
First one versus the Vikings.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's such a weird stat.
Yep.
Mahomes, 281 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco was the leading rusher with 56 and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, leading receiver, 10 catches, 67 yards and a touchdown. Bit of an injury scare because Minnesota's turf likes to injure anyone, including Justin Jefferson today, who pulled a hammy.
And didn't come back.
Did not come back into the game. Cousins at 284 and 2 touchdowns. Madison, 28 yards rushing, 20 yards receiving and a touchdown. And Jordan Addison was their leading receiver, 6 catches, 64 yards and a touchdown. Minnesota's 1-4. They've lost all 4 games by a single score, which is the complete inverse of last season when they were undefeated in one-score games. As I pointed out a few times on the podcast in the preseason, their defense is terrible. It's going to cost them games. Their offense can score a lot if Justin Jefferson is playing.
Yeah.
Defensively against Kansas City, and again, Kansas City today was not the same Kansas City we're used to.
True.
But they did a mostly good job against Kansas City defensively.
Yep.
You know,
I am a little surprised they're not getting Hawkinson more involved. I think about what was happening in Kansas City with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Like, that as a duo was a really strong duo.
have a fast fucking wideout and a great tight end. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's
Sounds like something they could do with Jefferson and
Hawkinson.
But
Yeah.
they don't seem to be using Hawkinson as
Yeah.
much as they, in my opinion, should. And maybe whatever's going on, they're like he's too busy blocking or whatever.
Well, if
But get him
Jefferson's out
involved.
next week,
Right.
he'll be involved.
That's what I mean. You got to get him involved. They should have got him more involved to finish the game because I think Addison has been good.
I mean, you have 2 good wideout, like one great and one good wideout,
Yeah.
and a really good fucking tight end.
Yeah, right.
Like, fucking move that shit around.
I agree. It's been a problem for Minnesota. Cousins is still having a great year,
Yeah, statistically,
Yes.
yeah.
but
Stats don't get you Super Bowl rings.
stats do not get you wins. And if your defense cannot stop anybody, you're going to end up with a record like Minnesota and the Bears have.
Yep.
I mean, the Bears have more issues than that, but we should have one more win, but our defense sucks.
But I mean, the fact you're fucking tied, you know?
Yeah, I know. The fact that we have an equal record with the team that won the division last year.
The Vikings, the Bears, and the Broncos are tied. That just sounds fucking wrong, you know? Not because of the
makes
Bears
sense.
and Broncos records.
It makes sense that the Bears are in last place, but yeah. So yeah, that was this week's so far games. Before we move on, anything that stands out to y'all other than the Dolphins setting a record for most yards through the first 5 weeks of the season in NFL history?
I mean, that is impressive.
Yeah.
But it makes me think about, like, well, Dan Marino had the most yards as a quarterback and never won shit.
Indeed, he
So
did.
it's like, do you want those records? You know?
Well, I mean, the Rams are the ones that they took it from, the greatest show on turf.
Yeah,
and they did win
yeah,
the Super
yeah.
Bowl. So you can win, but yes, you're right.
I also.
Dan Marino's an excellent,
Yes.
especially given the fact that it's the Dolphins.
Yep. I really, really like the European games. I like the random Sundays. Let's watch football from 9:30 to 11:30.
I think it's great, too.
I really like that.
But I'm looking forward to the next Germany game, to be honest with you, because last year it was so amazing to watch. Most of those people don't care about who wins. Sweet Caroline came on in like the last 2 minutes of the game last year in Germany. The entire stadium was singing along with it. And then afterwards, they hung out for the entire stadium full for another 30 minutes, just
didn't
hanging
fucking
out,
leave.
having a great time. No fights. No. It's just,
And all of Europe looks at us and goes like, "Why do you guys just go home?" Like,
yeah.
there's 25,000 of you. That's a fucking party right there. You're just leaving, you know.
And this is also Germany, where they're not selling a 10-ounce beer
No,
for $30 at your local stadium. This is This is liters of beer.
And it's funny because I was watching a clip about a soccer game, and there are these two adult men, like 40, 50-year-old, something like that, and they're shouting, like pointing and like, like those angry throw,
Yeah.
point in your direction. Rah, rah, rah. It pans to this 10-year-old kid who's just sitting there holding, one finger up, not a middle finger, just, we're number one, all calm and cool, while those grown-ass men are just losing their shit watching a soccer game. And I was like, the fire is there for these. But they're watching these football games, our football games, going, we're here for fun. And they're having a great time.
Fair.
So watching those games when you're not committed to those certain teams, totally different. So like you said, no fights, but yeah, because you didn't care who won or lost. You were there for a fun game.
But just the one thing I want to say about it, big fan of the London games, making breakfast Sunday morning to football in the background, just not when your team is playing.
Yeah, but you're not willing to watch your team play anyway.
Somebody,
By the way, our
somebody
producer-
who's a Bills fan
our producer
didn't
is a
watch the
Bills
Bills
fan.
game.
One of the best teams in the NFL. He won't watch his team play because he's always worried they're going to lose.
Hey,
One of
what-
the best teams in the NFL.
He went to the gym hoping to be comforted in the steam room.
For the
so-
second half.
I do wonder, like, if they are going to expand, like, have a real European team, 2 weeks is the way to do it. You have back-to-back home games, back-to-back away,
It
back-to-back
is.
home games. That's the way to do it. And I think this is the test this week, like last week and this week. I think it was the real test. Like, to make sure everything works out, the logistics, everything work
Yeah.
out.
I think they also need to set those games up where there's a bye week for the traveling team.
Yes.
But they can't always do
if you're
it.
coming from
Yeah.
London, you're going to be tired when you land. But like when you're heading over there,
Well,
because
that's why ideally there'd be a team in London and
Yes.
a team in Germany.
yeah.
And so even if you're the away team, you play in London one week
Also,
and then Germany the next week.
hopefully
and then
two
you go
new
back to the
teams,
States, you
'cause-
know?
Yeah.
I would feel terrible for whatever franchise.
No, I'm okay if they turn them both into like relegation leagues. So the worst two teams have to go
my
fucking
God.
play in London and Germany. I'm fucking 100%
That's
okay
hilarious.
with that, you know?
Coming from a Bears fan.
That's hilarious. Hey, it is.
Currently, we're two of the three worst teams in the NFL. I'm still
Well,
okay
Alice
with it.
Hall's
you know?
likely to get purchased by the IRS, so
there you
still
go.
don't know what's going on there.
There you go.
The Mannheim Bears versus the Liverpool Broncos.
That's pretty funny.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, we have a couple things we like to do before we get into our next week's picks. The first one being what we like to call the un-FL.
Yeah, where we cover things that are not NFL related, because things do happen outside of football. Surprise, surprise.
Bollocks.
The segment is not brought to you by Journeyman Distillery, but it could be. No, yeah,
And it should be.
And it should be.
Send them a check.
So, my Syracuse Orange just got thoroughly drubbed by UNC.
With one of the supposed top draft picks for this next NFL draft.
Yeah, no,
Quarterback.
the number 2 QB,
he look good?
Drake May.
Yeah, he will
looked
be the
great.
number 2 QB off the
He
draft.
looked great. He was pretty fantastic. He put up something like 450 yards on Syracuse. It was the great ones do that, and there you go. But the one thing that Syracuse had going for it was a block that was put onto the punter for UNC. This would be Ben Kiernan, who had a block punt, and he chased it down, and he picked it up, and he ran it in for a first down. But in so doing, ran into a lineman, and it left his face mask mangled.
Holy shit.
He took that square to the
Holy
face.
shit.
It was shoulder to face mask. Do they
Was
make
that
these
made
out of
fucking
aluminum or like
Twizzlers?
what are we doing here, guys? It's yeah. So the only good thing the Syracuse did was
Dent a punter's face mask.
yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Sticking with college, actually all of this is related to college, except for the fact that NBA preseason has started, which is great because now I really have an excuse to not watch baseball. Fantastic.
Excellent. Any reason's a good
And
reason.
there goes your mic
There
right
we
there.
go. No, so sticking with college football, we got to talk about the collapse with Miami against Georgia Tech. Obviously, everyone is talking about the last minute decision that was made, which was 30 seconds on the clock. You're on 3 downs.
Get the lead.
You got the lead. All you
Kneel
have to
the
do
ball.
is kneel the ball and time it out. They decided to run it and fumbled the ball. Georgia Tech recovers with 25 seconds left. A 44-yard
No way you can do anything in that
touchdown.
much time, right?
Woo! To Georgia Tech to take the lead. But the reality is, Miami was falling apart. They had 3 interceptions, 5 turnovers overall.
The fact that they were winning a game with that many turnovers.
Exactly. So really, yeah, it was a poor decision, but it was also at the last second. But it was poor play.
So
You
the
deserved to
team
lose.
that deserved to win actually ended up winning.
Exactly. It was
like it.
full karma on that one. What I really want to talk about, and it's more of a question to you guys, is I saw 2 different clips about this happening, where there's a punt. And so the receiving team is right there. The ball, he doesn't catch it. The ball kind of dribbles. It's open for anyone to, right?
Are you talking about where they try to force or push the guy into it?
Yes.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
But it happened twice, and it wasn't just like a quick little shove, like touch the ball.
No, like
what if
USC, like 5 guys grabbed
him and tried to like throw him into the football?
You can't do that.
I'm like, what are we doing here?
By the way, that's something you learn in Pee Wee.
Right. But to see it 2 times in a week, and it wasn't one person just trying to they're almost there. I'll give him a little nudge. They tried to pick him up and set him on the fucking ball. What are we doing here?
So it was either Florida or Florida State that there was video of them coaching the special teams on how to make it look like you're falling to push someone into the ball. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I get it. Like, if you aren't aware enough and you touch the ball, it becomes a live ball. But to use that as an angle and then fucking cheat from it, like, fuck that. Yeah.
But literally trying to pick up
Yeah,
the
that's
punt
beyond
receiver.
bullshit. Yeah.
That's
lame.
That baffles me. And I saw 2 separate clips from this past week.
Same team?
No.
okay,
No.
two different teams,
Two
okay.
different teams. Like I don't think I've seen and it was as egregious as that. Like pick up the player and force them onto the ball. Like what?
Yep. I mean, you're just hoping catch the ref snoozing. And they're not going to see it.
Not when 3 guys are trying to pick up an opposing player.
What's the old saying? If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah.
It literally,
Bullshit, but it's an old saying.
It literally looked like a bunch of older brothers, or actually the scene from Step Brothers where those kids on the playground are making them lick the white dog turds. Got a belly full of white dog crap.
We're gonna go the long way home in the future.
Yeah, right. It was wild. Yeah. Anyways, so yes, basketball is back. College football is in rare form. NFL.
I love it. I also want to point out one other NFL thing. I don't remember what the high school was, but I shared it with y'all. It was a TikTok video I found. High schooler kicked a 67-yard field goal to win a game this past week. How glorious.
For that
How
kid,
glorious.
someone lost their virginity.
Oh no,
Friday
he got
night.
he got a hand job in the parking lot. It was for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And like we talked about, like, well, yeah, in like high school, like, there's no arc. It's pretty much a straight trajectory. But,
Right,
like,
right.
That's still good. That's still really
So
good.
you can say everything. You're right. There's fewer guys jumping up to block it.
The goalposts are wider.
Right,
yeah.
right. All okay.
But you're in high school and you can get 67 yards through the uprights.
Yep.
Keep fucking working at it
Yep.
and work on your form. Get ready for fucking college.
Exactly.
You know?
Always getting looks for sure.
Oh, I bet.
I'm willing to bet he's got a few people coming to check him out this week.
Oh, yeah. Guaranteed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. I have a Just the Worst. It's another little segment that we like to do. And I'm sorry, Scott,
Uh-oh.
Oh no, I know exactly what you're gonna say.
but it's about one of the Giants' offensive linemen. And in case you're wondering, the Giants' offensive line has not been good. They've been getting booed mercilessly.
this was a high draft pick
Top 5 draft pick,
Last
if
year, I
remember
picked him to be
correctly.
the
last
offensive
year.
rookie of the
You
year.
sure
And
did.
I picked him to be one of the guys who made a step up this year.
I don't know
Evan-
what you're about to talk
Evan
about.
Neal, right tackle for the Giants.
Okay. I know him.
After the last week's loss, he was asked about what he thought about the fans and everyone else. They're booing and they're saying that they weren't playing very well. And his reaction was, a lion doesn't worry itself with the thoughts of a sheep. And why should he care what someone who likely flips burgers or sells hot dogs does, or what someone who likely flips burgers or sells hot dogs thinks of him?
So he just painted a broad swath of everyone that goes to the game is poor.
Yep.
Yep. Everyone
And-
spends their hard-earned
and
money on
Which
the
one
tickets.
is untrue?
Actually, let's start with the ticket, the parking, soda, water, beer, whatever you want, nachos, hot dog, whatever.
All fucking expensive. Yeah.
All of it.
Jerseys.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Also, people that actually do support you and want you to win.
Yep.
And that's your response. Now, my outlook on this is it's fascinating to me, given the fact that on the field, I'm guessing he doesn't. I'm guessing the defensive linemen that are going against him don't concern themselves with the thoughts of him being the sheep as they are the lions, because he sucks.
He is an absolute sieve
He
out
is
there.
getting destroyed. He's going down as right now. He's the biggest bust out of that draft class, and he has the stupid. I'm not going to call it the balls because it's not courage. He's dumb enough to think he gets to say that about the fans for his team that spend the money, that come to support him, that allow him to make that kind of cash in his bank account.
Fans that were there before him, and
They'll
will
be there after him.
After him.
And if you suck, you deserve to get booed. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of the way the game is played.
Yep.
You're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
Boo.
And don't hear what I'm not saying.
It's pretty simple.
I'm not saying you should send, like, because we see stupid things
Yeah,
with
not
fans.
death threats
I'm not saying
and,
death threats or
no.
you. I hope your mom dies or any of that
Yeah.
shit. No, but
At a
booing,
game, boo.
saying that we don't like how you're performing because you're performing like shit. They have every right to say that.
Which means
every
you're not,
right.
Which means you're not taking the time to appreciate
The luxury you have.
the luxury of, and why you're doing. You're playing the game for your own love of the game, right? But you're an entertainer.
Yeah.
That's what you are.
So
Someone that says that isn't doing it for love of the
So-
game.
no, they're doing it for money.
Yeah.
that storyline.
They think that they're better than everyone else.
Yep.
They
Yes.
they interviewed a Jets fan that was so New York it hurt, and he was just like, "I work 6-10 hour days at a
Wait,
warehouse.
do it in
I
a Long
can't.
Island
I
accent.
can't.
No, you got to do it in a New Jersey
I
accent.
yeah,
He's like, I work
yeah,
6
yeah.
10 hour days. On Sunday, I spend my money to watch the Jets lose. Like, if I see you at the DMV, I'm gonna boo you. If I see you at the bodega, I'm gonna boo you. Like, just
But they still love their team.
Yeah.
No, listen,
Listen, if I saw some of the players that suck for the Bears ever, because I spend money on jerseys and hats, and I don't live near Chicago, so I don't go to a game. But if I saw one of a defensive lineman, especially this year, I'd be like, God damn, dude, you guys cannot stop the run for shit. But I love you and I hope you win next week.
That's right. That's right. I'll be cheering for you next week. And that's the reality is I'll be cheering for you next week. You're going to break my heart today, but tomorrow I'm cheering for you.
You only boo because you fucking care.
Yes.
And the fact that he had the outlook of, I don't think about them because they are lesser than me? No. Poor form,
Yep.
just the worst.
Fucking douche.
So that's what I have for just the worst this week. Anybody have anything else they
There's-
want to add for just
To
the
me,
worst?
there's nothing worse than that attitude.
I got it just the worst. I just learned about fucking Evan Neal from the New York Giants, and
Nice.
fucking trash.
Yeah.
Oh, and where are you getting sponsorships from as an O lineman? Local, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're in
Yeah.
a major market area. That means there's some big money to be made. You know what you just did?
Cost yourself all of it.
Yep. Good thing you're on your rookie contract as a high draft pick
Well,
because
it's
you're
not
not
like he
making that
plays for
money
the
next
largest
time.
city in the United States. Oh, fuck, he does.
Outside of maybe LA for
Yeah.
sponsorships.
Your sponsorships, yeah.
so. This is not just the worst, but just something that I mentioned to Scott and Brian last night that I want to tell you, Matt, as well. Maybe you already saw it, but Marshawn Lynch did an interview with Shannon Sharp, and like
Oh, when he was talking about Russell Wilson.
without actually saying it, alluded to like Russell Wilson not the best.
But he also didn't say it for like 20 minutes.
He danced around it pretty great.
It wasn't
Well,
a short clip. Yeah.
thing is, when he-
Shannon
when-
Sharp was really trying to drag it out of him.
when he talks about him, I've seen interviews with Richard Sherman talking about him also, and Richard Sherman said that it wasn't like any other teammate he ever had. He's like, if I wanted to call Russell Wilson, I couldn't call him. I had to call his agent or handler
No,
or
he
whatever.
said the same thing,
because
yeah.
no one was allowed to have his number. If he called you, it was from a blocked, hidden phone number.
Yeah. And Marshawn said the same thing. He's
Yeah,
like, I had a missed call that I couldn't call back.
Yeah.
Actually, from that whole interview, what I took out of it was I'm really disappointed in Shannon Sharp because he calls that little spot that is the interviews Club Shay Shay. And let's be honest, the easy name for that is the Shay Shed. Discussion over.
So
Truth bomb, also, by the way, sir.
So before Matt gets started on the picks,
Oh, no. We have one last thing we like to do
Oh, yeah.
here. But I'm gonna just a little introduction here, man. Like, listen, it's your segment.
Yeah.
Don't act like it's nothing. We have what we call Squeaks Streaks. It's a callback to an old nickname for the producer, and we just thought it sounded really good, Squeak Streaks. And they used to have a really nice little video enter for it, where it was a dog rubbing
Yeah.
its ass on some carpet, leaving a rainbow behind.
I haven't done the sound bit thing yet. I'll work on it.
We'll figure that out. So those of you that watch us on YouTube can see it, but we'll get there.
all right.
Trust
Anyways.
me. Mwah.
Squeak streak for this. Wait, what was your streak last week?
I remember it was very
Oh,
possible, actually.
Ravens were going to score more than 17, and that did not happen.
Oof, did not.
Man,
No.
By the way,
this
we ask him to make a bet. Usually, we're asking for something that likely won't happen, but just sounds fun. Like, for example, there was Ezekiel Elliott will average over 4 yards a carry, and yet not break 50 yards rushing.
Yeah.
This kind of thing is what we ask for from our producer,
that might have happened.
and I think it did happen.
Okay. So this one pains me because it's a team close to my heart. But last weekend, the Pats lost 38-3 to the Cowboys. Today, they lost 34-0 to the Saints. They are playing the Raiders next week. The Patriots will score less than 7 for the third week in a row.
Ooh, spicy take
And
that I
that's
think your
not-
buddy from college
Yeah,
he's not going to like.
No. So, and that's not. I think the Ravens are just gonna like blow the brakes off them. I just think Mac Jones, if they roll him out there, and that offense is so bad, under 7.
Oh, Bailey
You know
Zappi for 200 yards next week.
So I remember people always used to talk, and don't get me wrong here, Bill Belichick has been a great head coach. He's had some great players for him. He's drafted well.
He's the best all-time NFL cheater. Far and away.
People forget he was a head coach for Cleveland, and he had a not awful record, but not great. And it's so weird because coaches and players, it feels like you need that perfect marriage. And he and Brady, so hyper-focused on winning at all costs.
Well, they had like the Mormon marriage. Every player on that team was married to Belichick. So
Yes.
you know.
That's a great way to put it. But no, listen, the Patriots, who are they playing next week? They are playing...
the Raiders.
The Raiders. You think the Raiders hold New England to less than 7?
Yes.
That's what makes
Woo,
it
that's
fucking
a fun pick.
That's what I'm. Yes, that's last weekend. I was like, I'm gonna come up with a little something more spicy this weekend.
Dude.
I mean, look
I
at the
love
last 2 weeks. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I have one other just the worst, and it's on us. Last week, we are not baseball fans for the majority. The professor here, very big baseball fan. We should have brought this up. It is on us. Tim Wakefield passed away. For those of you that don't know, excellent pitcher for the Red Sox, threw a knuckleball that even I, as a non-baseball fan, said, how the fuck did he throw that?
No.
Number two, how did anyone ever get a hit off
No,
of that?
he threw a knuckleball that he didn't know where it was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also want to tag one other thing on, and that's a melancholy tip of the cap, raise of the glass, and I will take a drink for it, to Tim Wakefield on his passing. I also want to call out Kurt Schilling,
what did he do?
who a few days / week before Tim Wakefield died, Kurt Schilling has a podcast. And he let it be known that Tim Wakefield had cancer and was dying.
Oh,
Despite Tim
that's
Wakefield
fucked
not
up.
wanting it to be known.
That's a dick
Now-
move.
Kurt Schilling's done a lot of stuff that I think is pretty asshole-ish. He was a great pitcher, don't get me wrong here.
Yeah.
He, on the diamond, probably a Hall of Famer. Off the diamond, I think it takes away. And you know what? He pissed off every sports writer known to man, so he's never going to get into the Hall of Fame.
Well, when he put that ketchup packet in his sock?
Yes. But Kurt Schilling, you are just the worst. Now, we are the worst for not having brought this up and sending out a melancholy thank you for the memories.
True.
But,
True.
Kurt Schilling, you are the worst. And I hope that no one ever gives you the time of day again.
I watching when I used to watch baseball, as a Yankees fan, Tim Wakefield up there, like you're just watching those pitches in slow motion, even though it's in real time. And like that ball, zero rotation, just floating around, breaking all physics. That's pure magic.
And also,
so impressive.
Matt said you guys, Brian's the biggest baseball fan here, but watching Tim Wakefield take the bump in October in playoff baseball was just incredibly compelling.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
So yes, R.I.P. Tim Wakefield. Okay,
Go Astros.
so we are now going to make way ahead of time before we even know what's happening at the end of this game or tomorrow night's game. Our picks for Week 6, and it starts out with the Professor's Denver Broncos
Kansas City. Move on.
going to Kansas City.
Damn it. I knew you were going to work on the Broncos in there somewhere. That's not Snow White helmet. That's Broncos helmet.
I liked him, buddy.
I bet you did.
Yeah, he did.
You like that Broncos on that big D on the side of the face. Yeah.
Denver travels to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Swifties.
I wasn't gonna let that go.
I was not prepared for that at all. I mean, it's such an easy joke, but I was not ready for it. Yeah.
It is. I had to make it. I'm going with Kansas City in this one. What else am I going to do here? You know,
I mean, Broncos giving away their defense already.
And who knows who's going to be gone by next week? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Kansas City.
Put me down for the Broncos losing.
Really? Such a dick. Such a dick. Anyway, Ravens Titans. What do you guys got?
this is a tough one actually because the Titans, they have a good game, they have a bad game. They have a good game, they have a bad game. Baltimore hasn't really put together a full game yet. They've got like 8 running backs to get the ball. None of them seem to do a whole lot
And
with
it's
it.
2 teams that are traveling overseas. So
Yes. And Baltimore likes to run the ball. Or at least that's the one thing they've done effectively so far this year with their multitude of running backs. Before this week, Tennessee stopped the run very well. I'm saying Mike Vrabel and that Tennessee running game
really,
get it going right, and the Titans pull off a surprising win over Baltimore.
I'm gonna go.
Is this one in London, or
I believe it's London.
I will look it up real
Okay.
fast.
I think the Germany one is the week after. I think this is
Okay.
another London one. Maybe a different stadium, but London.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little more chalk on this one. I'm gonna go with the Ravens.
It is London.
I agree with what you're saying.
At Tottenham.
Yeah, Tottenham instead of Wembley. Yeah.
Nice.
Tottenham.
It was that. That's
Tottenham.
where this week's game was Tottenham.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree with what you're saying about Titans and stopping the run. I think that Baltimore can air that ball out a little bit, and both of them being tired, it's hard to pull off a good run game, anyways.
But if you're tired, do you want to tackle Derrick Henry?
True.
Granted, at this point, it's
True.
Derrick
If you're
Henry
10 out of 10
with
ready
a
to
walker.
go, do you want
but
to
hey,
tackle Derrick Henry?
You got to give Derrick Henry the ball, though.
you need to.
Jeez, come on. But yeah, I'm sticking with the Ravens.
Yeah.
I think this week's loss was weird for the Ravens, and I think Harbaugh's a really good coach, and I don't see how they're going to drop 2 in a row. But
Honestly, these are 2 good coaches whose teams might end up with losing records this year that might put them on a hot seat.
Yeah.
Which I find kind of comical.
I don't know
Because
how- I don't know how
if
you put
either one of
Harbaugh
these
on a hot
coaches were
seat.
fired, they would be hired the next day.
Probably by an interdivisional rival.
Yes.
Well, think about it. Harbaugh's like been the coach for at least 12 years. I make the playoffs 75% of the time, and we have a ring.
Mike Vrabel, I took us to the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill at
Yeah.
quarterback.
Yeah.
That should be all he needs to say to keep his job. The next game, the Commies go to Atlanta. Desmond Ridder has still never lost a home game as a starter. Washington coming off a very bad showing versus the Bears, but kind of a mini bye. They got some extra time to get ready.
Yeah.
Washington, offensively, they don't run the ball very well. At least they did not this past week. They have a lot of weapons to throw the ball to. Atlanta, oddly enough, I can also say, has a lot of weapons to throw the ball to. And also, Bijan Robinson and Algier running the ball.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in Atlanta all the way. Yeah.
Yeah? All the way?
All the way. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm betting against Desmond Ridder. This is his first home loss since I don't know, he was born or whatever. But
Since he was born.
and I don't have any reason for it. I think both of these teams are so confusing. Like the
Ritter never even took a shit at home.
that's right. The commies have had some moments where they looked like absolute dog shit, and other moments where like they're okay. You know, I don't know who they are as a team. I don't know what they
That
do
was a
well.
fumble by McCaffrey and recovered by Dallas. Nice.
That's a rarity.
Yeah, this one I was going flip on. I'm going Commanders.
I'm also going Commanders. I don't know why, but I just wanted to add this other little nugget. I just Googled it. Harbaugh has been the coach of the Ravens since 2008.
Yeah.
I got
Long
to think,
time, yeah.
after Belichick, probably the second longest tenured coach. in the
Tomlin.
league. Tomlin.
Yeah. But like up there. Yeah.
Top,
Yeah.
top 5.
Wait, how long has Reed been in Kansas City?
Well, not since
Not because he
08.
was in Philly.
You know, Reed's number 4 all time in coaching wins,
Yeah, I believe that.
but he's got to pass. Shula's not going to be passed, and then there's Belichick, and then there's Ellis.
Yeah.
Reed's, he's in the pantheon, man.
Yeah.
If
I
you eat
think-
a salad once in a while, like he can make it.
You don't become a walrus eating salad, sir.
I also think if Reed had
No, I just
never
want him to
won
live
any of
long
the Super
enough,
Bowls,
you know?
he still would have been in the Hall
Would-
of Fame.
Can we give
When he was
respect
done.
to
Yeah.
Andy Reid learning about the bundle policy from State Farm, and they're describing it using like burgers and fries, and it's cheaper to make a value meal, and he's over there, hey, and he's like, hey, can we do that one more
Yeah,
time?
explain it to me again.
Explain it to me with chicken nuggets. Thank you, Andy Reid. You're in on the joke, and I love it.
No,
He said chicken
when he
nuggets.
was the Eagles head coach, they were interviewing a former player, and there was like, yeah, one time after a win in Miami, he had Red Robin cater the plane flight home.
So
Red Robin garlic fries are the shit. All right.
I'm going to go with Washington. I'm saying Sam Howell
All right.
somehow gets out there. I don't know if it's a full moon and he's howling. I don't know.
Was that an intentional pun?
It was.
Somehow.
Somehow it works out. I say Washington beats Atlanta. Desmond Ritter gets his first loss also.
All right.
Next up, we got Minnesota. Will Justin Jefferson play? I don't know, but they're going to Chicago to take on my beloved.
I'm just putting Minnesota for all of our bets.
Nope.
Are you betting on the Bears?
I am picking the Bears. And I'm going with my heart. It could blow up my face, but you know what? Minnesota's defense sucks.
Losing to a 1-4 team could blow up in your face.
Yes. Chicago's defense sucks also. We have almost no running backs for this game, although we had all 3 get injured in last week's game to where the fullback, Kyrie Blasingame, had to be the running back in the fourth quarter for us. However, Johnson Foreman was a healthy scratch from the game. We didn't have him suited up. He's still ready to go.
Okay.
He still has legs, as he proved last year with Carolina. I predict that Roshan Johnson comes back from the concussion. I predict also that this is a game where not just DJ Moore, but also Darnell Mooney finally gets off the schneid to go along with Cole Kmet. And our offensive line being healthy, I say Chicago pulls it out 28-27.
Mooney's got a catch. He had
does.
some really good looks, and he dropped them.
Yeah, Mooney's breaking
Yeah,
my balls.
yeah.
One
Ball.
was a touchdown.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was like that was very catchable.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
That ball looked so good, Eric said he'd be able to catch it.
Yeah, in his mouth.
Well, we watched that game. I had him on fantasy.
So are you
I was like,
saying Minnesota or the Bears?
I'm going to say Minnesota, even without Justin Jefferson, and let's assume that
Oh, if Jefferson doesn't play, we're winning.
I think even without him, I think they have what it takes to take out the Bears. But I am hoping to see both teams in the 30s with points.
Put me down for the Bears.
Wow. All right.
Oh.
Okay, Seattle travels to Cincinnati. Seattle coming off the bye, got plenty of time to prepare for this. Cincinnati, though, finally had their get-right game.
Yep.
Seattle, all kinds of offense. Their defense has not looked great until they played the Giants last week, where they had, 11 sacks.
Yeah, it's the Giants. I don't know how you know.
Well, yeah, Cincinnati, at least 11 sacks. I think they gave them another one in the second half to make it 12. So their offensive line, again,
Yeah.
Pete Carroll, he can coach some defense.
And we just
And
watched,
Kittle just had another touchdown.
and that was that
Don't
from?
have him on fantasy. Don't care.
It's from Purdy, don't worry. Okay, I'm saying Seattle wins this game. I don't know why.
I got Seattle also. I don't think they're playing as well as I expected them to. I really thought the way that they finished last year, all those pieces were there coming back into this year. They're not as much of a powerhouse as I expected them to be, but they're playing good football, and you can exploit a lot with Cincinnati. And Pete Carroll is a smart man. He knows exactly how to exploit that offensive line. And
I also say Zach Charbonnet, who the last time we saw him blew a man up on the goal line. I say Charbonnet finishes that job this week, gets a couple touchdowns.
No?
they've got so many great weapons on offense.
They haven't had to use Jackson Smith and Jigba at all yet.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
The top wide receiver of this last draft
Yeah.
class.
I think, I mean, again, mainly because of Pete Carroll. Like,
That's
he's got an extra week. They're on bye this week, so it's like he's got nothing but time to plan just for fucking Cincinnati. And maybe use these unused pieces, you know? So, yeah, I see Seattle. I mean, not like a beating, but a clear win.
Yeah.
Like, 34-21 kind of thing.
And
yeah.
this would pretty much probably put a bow in it for Cincinnati
For the playoff
for the
hopes.
playoffs. I mean,
Yeah.
they're already in a pretty rough spot, but
so. I'm with Brian for the same reasoning with Pete Carroll, and I also like Joe Burrow looks more himself, but I still don't think he's totally normal. And I think
Me
Pete
neither.
Carroll's just like, I'm just going to keep you in the pocket. I'll give you more time because you're not going to take off, and
Yep.
he's just going to have 2 weeks to game plan. So Seattle, one way or another, I think it'll be kind of close, but maybe a touchdown.
Yeah, like, they'll just force the ball away from Chase the whole game. Like,
We're chasing him in double coverage.
Just go with Higbee and Boyd. Good
we're
luck,
not going to let
you
you
know?
take off.
That's not even Higbee. Higbee's with the Rams.
Or, who's the other guy now?
Higgins is hurt.
Higgins.
Oh, he's
he's
hurt?
Yeah.
I thought he played today.
Nope. Boyd did.
Well, did he?
Boyd did.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have San Francisco traveling to Cleveland. Cleveland, apparently a little. Some of the players were a little upset at Deshaun Watson for not trying to play through the shoulder injury last week. They were a little pissed off at him.
Well, all their previous QBs would have.
Yeah. Baker would have.
Oh,
Baker played through every
He
injury.
played with a missing
I tell you
arm.
what, that man played in a state where he should not have been playing.
Okay, listen, I know as an Oklahoma fan, I go to bat for Baker, but 2 years ago,
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. It's not his toughness that I question with Baker. It's his ability overall.
that's fair. But I'm just saying, 2 years ago when we were doing the show, and he was kind of like having
Also,
ebbs
only
and
quarterback I
flows-
know that ever played for 4 teams in one
having
calendar
ebbs and
year.
flows with the Browns, and I was just like, he is legitimately fucking hurt. I don't know why
Yeah.
he's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that. He should not have been playing. He was a detriment to his team, but he was that fucking tough.
He's that guy, but he's just like he had a
look at
separated
their bench,
And I know it wasn't his
True.
throwing arm, but he had a separated shoulder. Like,
Yeah.
you think you're
Yeah.
going to lean into that hit?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. Listen, I give Baker a lot of credit. He's a tough quarterback. I think his ego got in the way a little
Yeah,
bit.
sure.
But I think he's actually fixed a bit of those issues in Tampa Bay. I love what he's done
I think
so
so
far
too,
this season. But I say San Francisco. Cleveland's defense is good. But I don't know.
Yeah.
You're not going to.
San Fran.
Yeah.
The San Fran
San Fran.
juggernauts, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, just already we're seeing how they're handling the Cowboys, who have on paper a great fucking defense,
The San
No,
Francisco
they have
60
the number 1 scoring defense in the league. They're
That's what
giving
I
up like
mean,
10
yeah.
points a game.
the San Francisco 69ers are going to fuck them both ways.
Wait,
Nice.
there's only 2 ways to fuck?
Oh, who knows?
I mean,
There's
offense and
3.
defense,
Did you get the abridged version of the Kama Sutra?
What's a Z job? If you gotta ask.
It was a hand-me-down. Pages were stuck together.
Nice.
So yeah, San Francisco over Cleveland is my pick there.
Yeah, all across the board, yeah.
Okay, Carolina travels to Miami. It doesn't end well. Miami, real big. A lot of points. Could be another situation of asking the fans what play they would like to run.
All right. First of all, yes, Miami. I do want to see at least 2 touchdowns from Bryce Young. He's got to get something going. I think he's talented. But more importantly, McDaniel really needs to not get 70 points. You got to pull your squad. Okay, it was one you made a statement win, and then you got embarrassed the following week. Okay. Now let's pull back. Okay.
I think he learned from that.
Right.
Like, he wanted to beat the Broncos so
Right.
badly.
I
get it.
right?
But
You've got, let's go see your wide receivers 4 and 5 out there.
Technically, you did.
No,
Mike White threw a deep bomb to Chosen Anderson.
I know.
Robbie Chosen or
yeah,
Chosen Anderson or whatever his name is.
Just
now.
Chosen. He's not Anderson anymore. Just Chosen.
Okay.
Robbie Chosen. you know, and you know, who plays behind Mostert as running back? Like, get him out there too, you know? Jeez.
My name is Jeff.
Jeff Wilson?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're deep with fast running backs,
Yeah,
dude.
Jesus.
Holy shit, it's fucking scary.
If the Panthers get a win this season, it'll be Week 10.
Who do they play?
Giants.
Bears.
Oh.
Fuck you.
Like Dolphins, Texans, Colts, Bears, Cowboys. Oh, maybe Titans. Bucks, Saints, Falcons, Packers, Jags, Bucks.
Oof.
Put me down for a surprise win in that mix.
Over Miami?
No.
Oh,
In that mix.
okay,
Oh.
so they're gonna get one win.
Yeah, in that
Jesus,
mix.
I thought you were picking Carolina over Miami, bro.
No.
Jeez, I think Mike White could play the whole game and they beat Carolina.
No, I'm saying put me down for they're going to beat someone.
Actually, I
other than
guarantee they could win
might
with Mike
beat
White.
the Bears
Other than
and
the Bears,
Giants,
okay.
but I'm
They
saying
could-
someone other.
I think
than
the
those
Tennessee
two
is a
No,
possibility.
Mike
Yeah.
White could play the
Or
whole
actually,
game.
I'm
And they would beat
surprising
Carolina.
the Colts. maybe.
Listen, the Jets wish they had Mike White right now. I guarantee
Yes.
it. Mike White could play the entire game and beat Carolina.
Oh, you mean as quarterback and as a cornerback?
Yes. Yes.
10 men on the field at all times.
Miami across the board.
Yeah.
Okay, Detroit travels to Tampa Bay. Take on a surprisingly willing to fight Tampa Bay team.
Yeah. Like nothing like the Brady.
Also,
Bucks,
this
but-
is a throwback to the NFC Central when it was back.
Yeah,
But there was
yeah.
5 teams in each division. I say Detroit's because back in the day, Detroit and Tampa Bay were the worst teams in that division.
Yep.
And I say Detroit harkens back to 1992 when they won that division and wrecks shop on Tampa Bay.
I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think the Buccaneers can hold steady, but Detroit is loving. They embraced being the underdog for so long. That chip is still there. They're playing
There
with
is.
it, and they're loving the fact that they're winning without losing their edge at all.
Their coach is not willing to let them give up that edge.
No.
Their coach is. I love the attitude he brings every day. I love it. Absolutely love
And
it.
everyone on the team
It
is-
really hurts me that he is a coach for a team in my team's division. I really love the job he's doing. I truly do.
He buries the thumb drive.
He does. He does. You can't. We don't have film to burn and bury anymore. Well, give me something.
Yep.
And he found a thumb drive and he buried that shit. So yeah, I say Detroit wins it.
Yep. Also Detroit, but and I say it every week. On a side note, I'm just happy for Detroit fans, like the Detroit faithful that dealt with 25 years of bullshit, and your team finally looks
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
25
30,
can go
40.
back. Their entire time.
Yeah.
They've
We're-
never been to a Super Bowl. Their last division championship was 19. I don't know if their last division championship was 1992. The last playoff win was 1992.
I tell you what, I'm sitting here drinking a whiskey from Michigan, and this particular distillery absolutely crushed it, and has been crushing it in the awards this year. So you know, Journeyman and the Lions.
I like it.
Good
I'm going
showing.
Tampa. I like Detroit a lot. I feel like this is going to be a really unexpectedly great fucking game, like down to the fucking wire. And I think Baker might pull it out.
Well, and I think Mike Evans is going to get his 1,000-yard season too, which I love.
Well, he was out.
I
He went
hope
out.
he does.
He
I
went
hope
out
he
last
does.
week.
Yeah.
With a hamstring, but he's had a week
Right.
off.
But yeah,
And it wasn't
right.
that bad of a hamstring.
Right.
Coach said he could have come back in.
Okay, and we don't know what they have going for him. Here we are doing our half-ass picks on a half-ass week.
Exactly.
Because right, there's still more games to play. We don't know what's going to be
We
the outcome.
whole ass nothing.
We always. We are
Okay.
69% of the time. We are half-assing it every time.
There we go. Indianapolis travels to Jacksonville for a game that shouldn't be as salty as it is. But I say Jacksonville pulls it out.
Like, after today, it's fucking tough, you know?
Well, the Colts are down a pretty important player.
Even if Anthony Richardson is out, I still say Gardner Minshew. I'm surprised another team didn't sign him that needed a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I think in Atlanta, he would be wonderful
Yep.
right now.
He is, so they're serviceable, whatever is just above that. That's Gardner Minshew.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
But no,
But
he's
for
a-
everything Atlanta has, Minshew's exactly the guy.
Yeah.
But he's
Yes.
also a great quarterback. Where if like someone goes down, hey, can you win 2 out of 3? Yep. Sure can.
But I'm still going with the Jaguars. They're like I said, they're a little spicy. They got some fun things going on. But picking against the Colts in this one is not an easy decision. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
Jags.
Maddie?
I'm going Jags. That's what I said.
I'm going Indy.
Nice.
I think the Jags pulling off that upset this week go to their heads.
I think they do have to travel back after 2 weeks overseas,
Oh,
and
I
I
didn't
do
think about that
believe
too,
that jet lag is worse coming this direction. If I remember
It is
correctly.
in my times going. You go to Europe. If you arrive at like 11 o'clock in the
I've
morning.
been to Europe multiple times.
Well, if you go to Europe, you get there at 11 in the morning. You just stay up as late as you can, and then pass out at like 8 o'clock and wake up the next morning, and you're kind of back on time. It is more difficult to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, my recent trip to Europe was so fast that I caught jet lag from the travel over by the time I was already home.
That does suck.
Well, last time I
But
went
at least
to
you had a
Europe,
good time getting really drunk
Oh, yes.
in Launchstool with our buddy Bill.
Yes, I did.
And folks, if you've never been to Europe, if you ever have a chance, take the opportunity. You can have a wonderful time over
I
there.
thought you were going to say you've never been to Bill's house.
Bill, be more than welcome to have a beer with you. Listen, if you're
what's that
ever
bar?
in Launchstool, Germany, go to the Blarney Stone,
Stone,
Irish
yeah.
Pub. I know it sounds weird to say go to an Irish pub in a German town. You'll have a wonderful time, though.
I'm pretty sure I drank 10 Irish whiskeys when I was there.
They have a lot of them there.
Yeah,
They have versions of Jameson you didn't know exists.
that's right. I tried them all.
I have as well. All right, New Orleans, coming off an absolute beatdown in New England, travels to Houston, coming off a painful loss today.
yeah.
Houston's defense showed some cracks today. I still think C.J. Stroud playing excellently for a rookie. Tank Dell did get pulled out of the game, concussion. Don't know what's going to go on with that yet.
It didn't look that bad. So,
But this is a tough game to call because I thought Carr actually looked a lot better than I expected him this week. I think he's getting better and better. I think the injury is going to be a little less.
I thought being injured, he would be worse today.
Hey, touchdown Cowboys. There you go.
Yeah, fuck him.
I wanted to pick Houston for this. I did. But I think New Orleans pulls this one out.
So I'm in line with you on that one. I want to pick Texans because I love the energy they're bringing. Stroud is looking fantastic out there. Tank Dell's been nice. Nico Collins has been great. But the Saints are looking a lot more complete. They got Kamara back. Michael Thomas is getting back to form, which is
You got
great.
some guy named Olave, I think.
is awesome.
And he had kind of a quiet day. Got his touchdown, but
Yeah.
kind of a quiet
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
He's due for a breakout game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think when the Saints embrace how unique they are with their different levels of talent, and it makes them scary when they plan accordingly. And I think that Texas has kind of one set of game that they run, and that's it. Where who knows what the hell's going on with New Orleans, and I think they can be sneaky, and I think they get the win.
I think
Good game, though.
I think the Saints show up to every
I do
game.
expect a very good game here.
They show up to every single game, and they go, pick a number 1 through 3. Holding behind his back. 2. Hey, this is the playbook reason today.
Yeah.
Like, it's that fucking random, you know?
I'm going Texans because I think they're going to get a special teams or like a turnover that just swings the game in their favor.
That'd be a sweet way, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going New Orleans. My heart says Houston, but, yeah, New Orleans.
Okay, New England, who have given up 69 points. Nice. In the last 2 weeks. Go to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders.
They gave up 69 points, but they scored a whole bunch too, or just 3?
Yeah.
Okay, just 3. Okay, all right.
I say with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, Vegas wins this.
I got Vegas down. I think that they're tough. They play kind of dirty. Just
No, I kind of like it.
Right,
Kind of like the 80s Raiders,
right,
you know?
right. And
Sometimes a little too
Killing them
dirty.
on the
so,
field.
yes, it's still. I mean, it's
Stupid penalties that cost
stupid
them.
penalties. But they do have Crosby, who's going to be a hell of a time for whoever starts at QB in New England. So
Yep, because that offensive line has stopped no one.
yeah, he's going to be a problem for
I mean,
sure.
it could be turnstile 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 on that offensive line to get by.
It's
Yep.
true, yeah. I'm going New England. I don't like the Pats. Belichick getting his ass handed to him like that 2 weeks in a row. I don't see it happening against the Vegas Raiders. I just don't see it happening.
I think that they're that bad that he can't. circum.
You can't do anything.
anything like. I mean Raiders, but he's got nothing.
All right.
Okay. Arizona coming off a tough loss today goes to LA to take on the Rams. Also coming off a tough loss today. In the end, I think that Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nukem, and everything else that the Rams have on their side. Yep.
Fucking great.
That's a great nickname, isn't it? I say the Rams beat Arizona next week.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Yeah.
I want to see a scrappy game for sure.
I think it'll be a close game, but I think the Rams win it.
Yeah, I don't know the extent of Connor's injury.
Yeah, if Connor comes back, it could be closer.
It could be closer. He really is doing such a great job this year. But I think the Rams are a much more complete team, and Cooper Kupp coming back is scary.
I mean, if they use Brown a little bit more for some fucking 60-yard bombs, who fucking knows?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, exactly. And Dobbs is like
It's been very serviceable.
Yeah.
he had his first interception was today.
Yeah, yeah.
Holy shit.
And to become the starter kind of out of nowhere.
Out of
you know?
nowhere. Yeah. I love the grit, and also this is a good rivalry. So kind of a new rivalry, it seems like, but
Yeah.
they're just close enough, but they also have history of St. Louis.
Yeah.
That ties them together. So
I like it. But you said LA overall?
yeah, LA, yeah.
All right. The Eagles travel to New York, take on.
Rams by a touchdown.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Rams by a touchdown.
Okay. The Eagles travel to New York. Or, I'm sorry, travel to New Jersey to take on the Jets. And it doesn't matter if they're in New York or New Jersey. I see Philadelphia winning this game.
Yep.
I think they beat them in New Jersey and New York. Somehow.
And Philly.
They beat them so bad, they beat them in both.
Yeah. AJ Brown crosses state lines with a touchdown. He's yeah.
Philly across the board? Yeah.
Okay. Next Sunday, for the first time since we started doing a live stream on Twitch a few years ago, to just doing our podcast that's on YouTube now, Scotty Stats gets to watch his Giants play in New York, no less, against Buffalo, in Buffalo, and they lose to Buffalo, is my prediction. And Scott is looking off screen and trying to avoid everything because he wants to pick his
want
team.
to pick the Giants.
He wants
want to.
What's that? There's an emergency? Timmy fell down the well. Guys, I gotta go, and we're gonna have to skip my prediction on this one. It's probably the Bills. Giants finally get a primetime Sunday spot.
Is there any chance Saquon is back next week?
Yes,
There
there is a very
is-
good
there
chance.
is a
It's been
chance.
3 weeks.
Yes.
That's usually the high ankle sprain time frame to come back. They kept saying it's not a high ankle sprain. It's not a high ankle sprain. And he's been out the amount of time it takes for a high ankle sprain.
Did he have any reps in practice this week?
He did. He had some
Okay.
limited practices this
Okay.
week. He had limited
Okay.
practices last week. He'll be back, I think, for this game. So I think the Giants' offense will look marginally better, but Buffalo's defense. The great thing about losing Tre'Davious White when you're playing the Giants is they don't have a great wide receiver anyway for him to cover. The Milano loss is huge,
That
but
sucks.
I still think the Bills. I think they actually run the ball well in this game, and I think that Stephon Diggs still has 100 yards receiving and a touchdown or two, and the Bills still win.
I mean, not to be a dick, but I think they can run train on the Giants. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this week's loss was not shocking, but unexpected, kind of. And I think the Bills just
Not shocking?
no go to
Fucking
London.
Jacksonville?
Go to London. Long story short, I think the Bills win, not Dolphin style, but with ease.
Yeah. Bills across the board.
All right, then Monday night. If Austin Eckler is back, this game could be fascinating. The Cowboys go to LA to take on the Chargers. We don't know how this game's going to end up tonight against San Fran. I did predict that San Fran would win this game. I still do. I think that pisses Dallas off. And I think Dallas's pass rush being the bigger issue for the Chargers. And I think the Dallas offensive line is good enough, and their offensive coordinator / head coach is smart enough to say that Khalil Mack guy that had 6 sacks the last time he played should probably get a double team or something occasionally. So I say Dallas beats the Chargers next Monday.
I'm going to go with the Chargers. And
Like
that's
it.
I'm assuming that Eckler's back and healthy enough to produce. And I think it ends up like even with the pass rush, they're able to do enough, and they're also able to disrupt. It's more about keeping Dallas from scoring than it is anything else. So I'm going to go with Chargers for that reason.
I'm also going Chargers because I think the boys are going to be reeling after this and just not have it together next week.
Like just worn the fuck out.
Yeah, just physically, mentally, emotionally defeated, and they're just going to lay an egg next week.
So I'm picking Dallas, but I think it's either Dallas wins handily or Justin Herbert throws for like 400 fucking yards and 4 TDs and destroys them. I think it's going to be wild swing one way or the other.
Okay.
But I'm picking Dallas.
All right. So, those are our picks for next week. And what we like to call the way too early, but we're still going to do it because we don't give a fuck. All right. I want to point out once again that tomorrow night you will have to listen to one Joe Buck calling the game, and that does suck. However, I got to tell you once again, fuck Joe Buck. He's just the worst.
And then you can flip over to the playoffs and probably hear Joe Buck some more.
Oh my God, how bad would that be?
Wait, Scotty, you're picking the Raiders to win 2 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It's impressive. Okay. Any last thoughts on this week's game so far, guys?
Love the upsets that were taking place.
It made our picks terrible from last week.
Yep.
It sure
By the way,
did.
next week it's going to be like, who got more than 7 picks correct?
Love the upsets in general.
Probably not Brian or me.
It's hard to see which teams are floating to the top. Sometimes you're already seeing that into week 5, and it's
Sometimes it's just a piece of shit with a lot of fat in it.
there's a couple of them that are
You eat shit and fat?
leave
Shit
your sex
doesn't render in the smoker.
leave your sex life out of this, please.
Hey, don't king shame,
Hilarious.
Scott.
Thoughts? Last thoughts on this week's game? I am, for me, very glad to see the Bears finally finally win a game and end a losing streak that lasted so long. The Commanders,
Yeah.
they stopped the Baltimore Ravens preseason win record,
Yeah.
and they stopped the Bears loss
Yep.
streak. So that was pretty sweet.
So nice of them.
It was very kind.
This
of
is my favorite, like these few weeks, my favorite time of sports year.
where every sports playing.
Fucking everything. I
Yeah.
fucking love it. And like, I don't watch a lot of hockey, but I like hockey. And like, a few more days, the real season starts. MLB postseason, fucking NBA, fucking perfect time of the year.
College football's rolling.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Fucking perfect.
There's still hope that Lonzo Ball might play again.
Fuck that guy.
And MLB postseason finishes, and then college basketball starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are in a glut of sports. That's for sure.
I absolutely love this time of year for these very same facts.
It's 48 degrees and raining outside.
Oh, yes,
Listen.
yes.
It is fall in northern New York, and we
Yeah.
actually finally hit 50-degree weather. Last week we had 70s. It was nice while it lasted. We are now into the fall. I do want to once again raise my beer and a melancholy goodbye and thank you for everything we got to enjoy because of your time. To not just Dick Butkus, but to Tim Wakefield. We appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry we had to lose you so soon. Here's to the memories.
Ditka.
Down to Butkus.
Jesus.
Dick Butkus, not Mike Ditka. Oh, I think Christian McCaffrey just...
Broke the record.
Well, he's now... Yeah, he just broke the
Yeah.
record for consecutive games with a touchdown for the 49ers, which puts him 2 closer to breaking the record overall.
One from tying.
And 2 from breaking, which he would be
Yeah.
breaking a record if he gets 16 straight, would be breaking a record by not just John Riggins, but also the man who slayed the most,
Allegedly.
The juice is loose.
the juice. Which, by the way, I want to point out one other thing, because you brought that up.
Tupac?
Back in those days,
Oh.
in the 70s, well,
Are you just naming murdered people?
I will do a
Well, he's just fucking-
finally arresting someone in the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Yes.
I'll raise
Yes,
hands.
finally.
Holler if you hear me.
It sounds like we're joking, but dead serious.
Absolutely
Fat
dead
white
serious.
people, we love fucking Tupac.
Yes, we do. But no, a melancholy cheers to Buckus and to Wakefield. We hope you guys have truly enjoyed this week's games as much as we have. We hope you enjoyed the rest of tonight's game and tomorrow's game with the Packers and the Raiders. What is it? The autumn wind is a Raider. Is that what the old call was? You gotta love those old NFL films too. God, they were
Like
great.
from the 70s.
Yeah, they were great. So, we are Half This Is Live. I'm Matty Fax, Scotty Stats to my left, Brian the Professor to my right, the great Skunk Hunter, Pepe Le Producer, helping us out. Hope you all enjoy a wonderful week of football. Hope you enjoy watching the rest of the week's games. We will see you next Sunday night. It's always 8 o'clock Eastern Time on YouTube. Come join us. Get into the chat room. We love interacting with everybody. If you are listening to the podcast, give us a like, give us a follow. We're on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Leave a review. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. If there's something that you saw happen this week you want us to discuss, let us know. We'd love to get some feedback from everybody.
If you're a Packers fan, you want to trash the Bears,
Do it.
Bring it on.
Do it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'll deal with that. That's fine. I have no problem with this. If you're a Patriots fan and you want to tell the professor how bad the Broncos suck, feel free. If you're a Patriots fan and you want to tell Scotty Stats.
There are a lot of Pats fans out there. So
A lot of Pats fans out there.
If you're a Cowboys fan, and I know there's some out there that watch this occasionally because I work with you, and you tell me how much you enjoy this, get on here and talk some shit on Brian the Professor. I'd appreciate it. Regardless, it doesn't matter because I'll let you know this. Next week, Sunday Night Football, the Giants could be losing by 17. Skunk Hunter will leave by halftime because he's just not sure his team can win it.
No, we're going to fucking handcuff his ass. He'll be stuck here. Yeah.
All right. Y'all have a wonderful week. Enjoy the football. Have a great time. Enjoy the fall. We'll see you next Sunday. We are Half This Is Live. Thank you so much for listening to us.